So are you familiar with the like what's your Roman Empire trend? Do you know that? Like it's like it was like a TikTok thing or something where it was like girls ask your significant others what or how often they think of the Roman Empire.
Yes.
I think that's the thing. And it was like,
yes, I remember that now.
So then it kind of became like a term. It's like, what's your Roman Empire? Which is just like, what's the thing you're like constantly thinking about? And I realized recently that mine is, and this is, you'll see why we're gonna have to bleep this. Somebody. And maybe
the
some other people.
The word
but,
was loving.
Yeah. And some other people, but yeah, this was really prescient when I initially wrote it in the doc.
Yeah.
Because something had come up, and it's just a constant thing of like, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Just what I don't know. I mean, I know I'm not the only person. I know this is like,
I do think
this is becoming
a
a thing more and more.
I think a lot of people are thinking about it. And I think we just need the right person to think really hard about it.
Yes. We need a Mario to the Luigi,
Hell, it's like, why stop there? Let's get a Wario. Let's get a Waluigi.
Oh, yeah.
Putting together a team.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking there's a lot of people who are like, they, you want it to happen, but it's like, but not me. But not me. I need somebody who's unstable enough that I can put my weight behind.
Well, here, maybe this is in theme. We need someone to do it, and then we need to have like a I'm Spartacus moment where what are you gonna do? Arrest us all? Kind of deal. I mean, there's a Tesla dealership down the road from where I live. And I've seen people like walking around outside with signs, which like on one hand, the people that probably work at that Tesla dealership are probably just like, come on, man, I don't know. This is a job. Like I can't really like.
Yeah, right. Has Elon Musk even been to
exactly
Grand Rapids in general? Yeah. I mean, maybe.
But goddamn, those Cybertrucks are so stupid looking.
Yeah.
I hate them so much. They're so dumb.
Yeah, they are. Then my the dream I had about it the other day is I was in this like nondescript building. I don't know. We were just kind of in like this little like circular hallway thing. I don't know. Dream logic, whatever.
Sure.
Just some building. And Trump was there, but this was like after like another attempt on his life, where he survived, but he had been like severely crippled to almost where he was like a pile of meat in like an electric scooter, kind of like Krang from Ninja Turtles, if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But like he couldn't like talk or anything. He was just like wheeling around, basically like going around this hall in like circles in his scooter, and he could only communicate via Twitter. So he was still like, it was like if you had only been paying attention to Twitter, it'd be like no difference. Like he was like acting like, everything was normal and fine. Yeah. And then but then he had like all these cables kind of like going around with him, but they were kind of like his life support. They were like hooked up to like some machines. Yeah. And I guess I'm just dream autopilot. I'm just kind of like absentmindedly just like tailing him the whole time. And then Joe Biden comes in the room and he trips over his cords and like pulls them all out. So then his wheelchair like kind of goes and he just like is sitting there. And I remember like making eye contact with him as he like slowly like faded out of existence. And it was like, I feel like I remember feeling like it was like really dark for a few minutes. And then like some guys made like a really somber announcement to like me and like the crowd of people in there. And they were like, the president has passed away. And I like burst into tears out of joy, and I hugged Joe Biden, and I said, I knew you were my president.
He's like, hey, let's go get some ice cream now.
Yeah.
That would be how he does it. It would be totally accidental. And just like trips over some cable. Because like that dude tripped so much during his presidency. He was the master at falling upstairs.
Yeah.
He's so good at it. Or just like eating shit on his bike or whatever.
Yeah.
I like this like this Hellraiser version of like FDR that you've created in like a gelatinous blobby Trump in his little wheelchair.
Yeah.
Just like posting on Truth Social all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. He's kind of getting there naturally anyways. I feel like he's finally starting to slow down.
But I think in terms of like a Roman Empire of mine, I can definitely get behind the ideas you're putting down.
Okay, yeah.
Just to bring it back a little bit.
Yeah. Speaking of putting things in the dirt, let's kill this dud month.
Yeah.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, to another episode of ThereWillBeDuds. This is episode 179, and I am your co-host, TJ, and with me as always,
I'm Nick.
And as always, we watched a movie. This is that movie this week. This is the end of our dud month, so yes, another dud. And thankfully, we picked another good kind of standard, like maybe like an old reliable or something.
This is yes.
Definitely a pick me up from the last few, but anyways, the movie we picked for this week, or that the Cup picked for us for this week, is Twisted Pair from 2018, directed by Neil Breen. In it, Breen plays twin brothers Cade and Cale Altair, who were abducted as children and modified as like humanoids. And they each, Cale was kind of rejected because I think he was a little too extreme, a little too hard to handle. But they both kind of are trying to follow their teachings and kind of save the world from terror and evil, but they have different methods. They have their own. Cade is a little more by the books. He's kind of still working for the aliens, and then Cale is kind of like a rogue vigilante doing his own thing, and there's a kind of Mr. Or Dr. Claw type bad guy called Coos or something,
something like that,
who's the head of all the evil. Then they do it. This is very
This is like the most succinct description I think I've heard of this movie.
I was trying. I was like, that's what I always try. Like, especially when I watch something this abstract, or however you want to say it, this nonsensical. I'm like,
yes.
I'm thinking, I'm like, I don't practice or anything, but I'm like, I gotta think about how I'm gonna intro this on the show. Yeah, I feel like this is very similar to Fateful Findings in that way, where it's kind of hard to pin down. Though for the first like to 15, 20 minutes or so, I was like, where it was still a lot of just like, the first little bit is mostly just him walking through green screen areas or like stock footage, and then him narrating. But at least I'm like, okay, all right, I know what's going on because he's telling me what's going on. So it was really easy to follow, and I was like, oh, maybe this is gonna not be as confusing as Fateful Findings. But then it quickly went off the rails, and I think ultimately I'm more lost on this than I am than I am with Fateful Findings. Although there's a lot of that one that I forgot. So
yeah,
since we watched it,
the thing at least with Fateful Findings is that if I remember correctly, all of that movie takes place in like real spaces.
Mm-hmm.
This movie,
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know if he thought that it would be like cheaper to green screen everything and use like stock footage, because it looks like he only really got like access to a couple locations.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are outside, I think it's the University of Nevada or something like that. Like in the credits he thanks like a college. And I think that's where a majority of those outdoor scenes take place, because he walks back and forth like on that campus constantly. He's there like 3 or 4 times in did they shoot this movie in like a couple days? Because it
very possible, yeah.
Because it looks like they just shot like the same night, different scenes, and it's all in like the same place. And it's like, all right, we got to get these exterior scenes done, and then the rest of it I'll just do on green screen.
Yeah, plus there's a lot of like repetitive scenes, and very well, I caught at least 2 instances of reused shots in like different scenes, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happened even more than if I had like paid more attention. But there's like, but it's like there's also scenes that feel reused, where it's like it's supposed to be a different part, but I feel like he did. And again, there's a lot of similarities with Fateful Findings. Like I'm not surprised in the least that there's all these like bad similarities, but that he's, you know, that college building, whatever it is, he's like, this is the source of their operation, I'm going to take them down. And then he goes in there and he's just like kind of stands around in those, you know, school science labs for a few minutes and then like walks out. And then he'll go back like 5 minutes later and be like, okay, now I'm going to take them down. And he does the same exact thing. I swear there's 2 scenes where he goes in these buildings and then like sets those like bombs off and then like sets off like all the explosions. And he does that more than once. I'm like, so is this a different building? Because it looks exactly the same. And got really repetitive in that way.
I read on the IMDb trivia that I guess like during like if you go to see this like a screening with a bunch of other people, similar to like The Room, when he gets to that scene where he sits at all those computers, I guess the audience chants Control-Alt-Delete. Because it's one of those like in order to like get it off the lock screen and like log in, you have to hit Control-Alt-Delete because they're like those office computers. So I guess everyone's just like Control-Alt-Delete.
I see. That's good.
Yeah. I've got it playing on my screen over here on mute, and I just love, because like I've done like digital marketing shit before. I did it very briefly. And there are websites that you can go to where it's like if you need to create like an ad for like a business or whatever, there's websites you can go to like Canva, which is like kind of a poor man's Photoshop.
Yep.
I am on Canva. You can find extremely similar stock videos that like Neil Breen uses. But I'm also just like, I love that he green screens himself into the stock footage.
Yeah.
Like there's one where it's like a woman like looking at like a floating like sci-fi digital screen. And it's the way that she's lit and the way that he's lit, it's so obvious that he's not physically in the same room. But like she's like kind of like doing that thing where she's like swiping here and like doing little beep boop 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 kind of things, and he like looks over at her and kind of nods. So awesome.
Yeah.
Where it's like, even the beginning part, I'm pretty sure like the footage of those two babies and then the footage of the two kids on the beach, I love that he's describing the stock footage as, he's like, I used to go to the beach with my brother and our dog. And it's like, yeah, you're saying that because there's a dog in the stock footage. Like, you have to, otherwise,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I will say, and again, it's been a while since I watched Fateful Findings, and we did watch that as a group. These are, I definitely think these are movies that are better to watch in a group, which isn't surprising. And not a knock for spud movies or whatever, but like I feel like I remember liking Fateful Findings more, and I think that there was like a couple like key things, and that was that like I don't know, I feel like all the like blatant green screen and like use of stock footage should be like more funny, but it was like it got really like boring, and I was just like, but then it kind of made like anytime he was just like filming in an actual space, I was like, okay, cool, nice, now we're actually here.
Yeah.
And then also, like, I was really worried those first, like, 10 minutes or so, where even though I said that I could follow it, there had been no other actual people, not counting the stock footage people. There had been no other people in the movie and no other voices other than his voiceover. And I was like, oh, shit, is this going to just be this? So that, like, when you get it cuts to, like, the one lady, his, like, handler at the agency or whatever. I was like, oh, thank God there's other people in this movie.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, Neil Breen is funny to watch and stuff, but like, I think the real magic is like him with other humans, in the space with him. And like, I think we're the first scene that got me like, where I was like laughing, I don't know. I mean, I had been laughing at moments before this, but the first scene where I was like laughing pretty good was where he goes, which I was really confused about this whole relationship for pretty much the whole movie. But like the Alana, he like goes to her house and they like start like wrestling, and he's like, you'll listen to me now, bitch. And like the bitch is like clearly like a different like take or different audio thing, because he totally changed his tone.
I'm gonna hurt you now. You're mine now. I'll teach you to ignore me. You were supposed to meet me at 8. Bitch.
And then they like roll over onto this couch, and there's just a fucking painting like on the couch. And I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna use that. And then she slams it over his head, and then they're just like wrestling and like breaking that's very Breen, is just like throwing props, just like an obnoxious amount of prop like molestation. Just like, there's another part where they have like it's Kale with his girlfriend, and they're like throwing all this money at each other, and they're just like, like they're so just like, I don't know, it's so interesting the way that he uses props, and yeah, like she slams the painting over him, and they're still wrestling, and there's like the frame is kind of like wrapped around him, and they're still kind of like collar rolling around and like just like mashing it into each other. It's so weird. And then they're like, oh, I love you. I was like, did he like brainwash her or something? Is that his AI virtual reality thing?
I was extremely confused by that. Because the setup for that scene is that he's walking outside the campus, and there's like a homeless guy sitting on the ground. Mm-hmm. And Neil is like walking, and she's walking too. And they do the classic, like they're walking and they like kind of bump into each other.
To meet cute.
And like, yeah. And in any other normal movie, it would be like sort of awkward, but it would be a way for the characters to introduce themselves to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that Neil Breen handles this basic human interaction is that like most of the dialogue in this movie sort of moves at like a snail's pace, where like a character will say something and then they'll sit in silence in room tone, and then it'll maybe
editing.
It'll cut to another character and there'll still be like another 3 seconds and then they'll respond. But in this scene, they sort of like, oh, I'm so sorry. She's like, no, it's okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. They kind of like talk really fast at each other, but it's like too fast. It's too fast for for like that to be like a normal human interaction. Like he doesn't know how to do it.
Wait, it's my fault. It's my fault, really. I apologize.
Leave me alone.
Let me make it up to you.
No.
I'll take you out to dinner.
Leave me alone. I have a boyfriend.
Let's have a drink. Let's have a drink.
Leave me alone.
Let's have a drink. I'll meet you back here at 8 o'clock and we'll go out and have a drink.
And then he's like, I'll follow her to her house.
No, you skipped a part. He says that, and she very clearly multiple times says, no, I'm not interested. I'm not going to do that. No. And then he is back at the bridge and he's like, well, it's 8. Where is she? So he actually returns to the spot.
Yeah. I feel like the homeless guy says something to him too.
I think he's just like, I don't think it's anything significant. I think he's just like, yeah, I don't know. Oh man, that's too bad. That's something really vague like that.
And so then he goes to her house. And it's very, very unsettling. Like she's like chopping vegetables or something, and you like see his shadow like move
it's like
across
a
her.
movie.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is the protagonist. This is like the guy who's who's defeating evil and is going to save humanity from AI or whatever. And then it felt very close to like a rape scene. I was like, is that where this is going?
It was
And then she's like, I love you. And then they're affectionate with each other. And
if you're going to reference the Wikipedia.
Yes.
Yeah, we can get into that. Cause I
revealing
did. I mean,
that
you
they've
have
been
to. You have
in a
to read
relationship the whole time. And I was like, revealing? I don't think so. It does not. There is nothing that you can contextually pick up in that scene that would let you know that like, oh, this is like a cute thing that they do where it's like, oh yeah, let's go to a place and let's pretend that we don't know each other. So then it's like, it feels like we're hooking up and there's like this air of mystery and danger where you're like, oh, you don't know who I am. Like, oh, well, let's go back to your place. Like, you know,
like they were doing some
fantasies
like voyeuristic
like
role play for the homeless guy or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't. Yeah,
and then the transitions of scenes in this are so great because we have this very uncomfortable pseudo like rape scene, and then as soon as that's done, it just cuts to him being like, "I miss my brother," and we move on, and we're like, "Oh, this shit again."
Yeah. Yeah. The Wikipedia article or the synopsis. Did you read any more of it? Because
I think I read the whole thing.
Because I was at a thing where like I got to a point and I was like, okay, this is one where I just need to read the Wikipedia. I need to know like what I'm missing. I can't fucking piece this together. So I need help. And this is another thing I think I remember from Fateful Findings where you read the Wikipedia description and I'm like, this is not the same fucking movie that I'm watching at all. This is not what is happening. Like that's like a minor example of like the revealing that they've been in a relationship the whole time. You're right. There's no clues to it, but at least like that's what happens, I guess.
Yeah.
But then there's shit like this where it's where's the okay. The man disappeared due to the programmer. Cade takes Alana, his girlfriend, out to dinner, and a mysterious man stabs Cade's homeless friend, taking his cell phone. No. He stabs him in the leg where it looks like there's a cell phone in his pants to stop the knife.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kale tracks down and murders a rich executive, but accidentally drops a syringe at the crime scene.
I remember
if this
that.
stuff happened, it's like way out of order from how it's presented in the Wikipedia article. Because the Wikipedia article, for example, it jumps from them revealing they'd been in a relationship the whole time. The next sentence is talking about where Cade like encounters the guys in like the VR goggles in the building.
Yeah.
Which was like 30 minutes later.
Yeah.
And then it's like after that it's like jumping back and being like, yeah, he kills a guy and then he drops the syringe and it's like just as confusing trying to like read
also,
this. Also,
skimming the Wikipedia article, I do not think it mentions once the segments where he's got like the guys chained up in his basement.
I don't think it does.
That he keeps shooting, but like they don't die.
Every
like,
time
it looks like he shoots one of them in the head, and he just goes like, "Oh," like he reacts like, "Oh, owie."
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, and then he'll shoot one in like the shoulder, and they're like dead. They like
go limp or whatever.
Instant.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Wikipedia is extremely concise in like giving you only like story details, because compared to like what you see on the screen, it is so bizarre, and it's not linear, obviously.
No,
but
really.
I don't understand where he kind of oscillates between I miss my brother and also like I don't know my brother, where it seems like he misses him, but that he also
was
like
confusing. Yeah,
he makes it sound like they got separated like when they were young kids or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
No. Also, what? So like the final. I won't read the whole thing, but like basically like where it's talking about like the climax. And some of this could have just been like maybe I just missed it because yeah, that happens sometimes in these movies. But so this is after he gives Kale's girlfriend the money, blah, blah, blah. Alana sees and gets jealous. The aforementioned mysterious man enters the home of a prostitute before the film cuts to Cade outside of the Kuz Empire building. Cade then decides to take down the Kuz Empire and goes into the boiler room to enact his plan. Okay. After his empire is destroyed, Kuz flees the country. I don't remember that. I thought all I remembered from him was like he blows up, the building for like the third time, and then it's just like a shot of him like playing with his diamonds. That was the last thing I remember with that guy. There's like a 20-second shot of him just like picking up diamonds and then like dropping them. So I don't know. That's what I mean. Like, what do you mean he flees the country? Is this like Axum, where this is just written by Neil Breen?
It kind of
like
seems that
he's got
way.
the story all in his head, so he's like,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what that
makes
means.
sense to me. I felt bad for every woman in this movie.
Oh, every woman, yeah.
I feel like I felt the same way when we watched Fateful Findings. Because he writes himself as like this romantic like lead guy, and he's like a weird like 60-year-old real estate guy from Las Vegas. And it's just like anytime there's a scene where characters are like they have to be intimate with him, it makes me so uncomfortable. And I just imagine like all these girls are probably like answering a casting call because they want to be actresses, and then it's just like you show up and this is the shit that you have to do. It's like you got to walk around on green screens and then like pretend to get raped by Neil Breen, and then you have to I guess bashing him over the head with a painting would be kind of fun.
Yeah, that'd probably be pretty fun. Or like all the go ahead.
Oh, but there's like that scene where like the fairy girl shows up and she's like scantily clad, and I'm just like,
everything
man,
with her was so weird.
Man, like, I feel so bad for you, like Neil being a weird horny guy that's like, yeah, and she's wearing this.
That's another scene that's not mentioned in the Wikipedia article, but also I'm like, what does this have to do with anything? Where he or no, maybe that is what that means. It says there is a line mentioning him like posing as some like rich businessman, so he gets a tour of their home or whatever. But there's the weird scene where he's like buying some art or something from the Kuz guy, and he's like, look at this painting, and then it's like it's an empty frame that you can see through, but then it's like filled in with this like moving painting, and it almost looks like the person like sees them. The person in the painting can like see them, and then it goes away, and it's like, it's dude. There's legitimately like, I could just have this on the mind because I did just listen to a podcast where they were talking about Lost Highway, but this legitimately is like the same kind of like, it feels like you're watching like a Dream Logic like Lynch movie in a way. Kinda, with how a lot of the scenes just kind of flow, and just like it feels like that.
There are like characters who kind of look similar too, where it's like Patricia Arquette plays like two characters in that, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or there's characters that like morph into others or whatever.
Yeah. What's the guy with like the scarf around his neck and the sunglasses on the phone, and like that's Dick Laurent.
Yeah. 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 And then just the shit with like the fairy girl just kind of appearing here and there, or like all the people, like the conversations where he like shows up and there's the bad guy and he's surrounded by like the agents or whatever, and then they just kind of like disappear. They just like fade out and just leave Neil Breen and Kuz there by themselves. That's very, very him too. The stuff with like even some of the music, even some of like the score, like I'm thinking like the part where it shows the three guys that Kale has like hostage, and then like the music gets very like rumbly and like dark, and then you see like, I think it's supposed to be just other people. I think it's supposed to be that there's like that he's just abducted so many people, but it's clearly those people just copy pasted. And it's this very like dark sounding score. And it's very, very, very Lynchy in a way. But I at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if you asked Neil Breen, he's like, I've never seen one of his movies. And I'd be like, I believe you.
Yeah, 100%. He doesn't strike me as somebody who like watches a lot of movies. He just seems like someone who is independently wealthy and like wants to make them. But I can't see him as being like a passionate film goer who like watches other people's movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I bet I wouldn't. Yeah. His movies are the only movies that he's seen. Maybe him and David are the twisted pair, and like they were actually like one, and he's the alternate universe one where he made Eraserhead, and instead of people thinking it was like this avant-garde like artistic masterpiece, they were like, this is shit, what the fuck is this is weird and dumb, don't make any more movies. And then he was just like, well, I'm gonna just kind of do it on my own. So this is David Lynch if he wasn't
this is like as like well regarded.
Yeah. And he even kind of dresses and looks like I'm looking at the poster, he looks like Evil Dale in The Return.
Yeah. He looks like Mr. C.
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah.
Whoa, Mr. Cade and Kale.
Oh yeah,
Tulpas, doppelgangers.
Yeah,
we're blowing this whole thing wide open.
Yeah,
that is an interesting observation, because if you do look at it that way, it does have that Dream Logic But but then you get to a scene where it's him doing like green screen jump where he jumps like 3 stories and he's just like which is it's so great. Like going back to the beginning of the movie, is he supposed to be like a CIA operative or some sort of like intelligence agency guy?
Because I don't know if he's working for the aliens or if they like are not part of the picture anymore and he just works for like the government or something like that. But he was like trained by the aliens.
Yeah, because he has like a rendezvous with like his handler woman who's just like, he's like, oh yeah, I have another assignment for you, and he's like, oh okay, but this is like the opening scene is incredible because he's like walking down the street and then he like looks up at a building and just like just like jumps up to it and he like climbs through the window and you see these like military guys, which is it's clearly like stock footage. He's not in the room with them, right? And he walks in, but like the stock footage guys are like this. They're like
they're frozen,
And then he walks in, and then Neil Breen's like, "Follow me," and he starts running, and then the clip plays, and then the stock footage people start running down the hall. But it's just like the fact that he had them like basically paused, like suspended, until the scene started. It's like, man, there's got to be a way for you to do this where like it can look at least somewhat realistic, but just I feel like there's a couple instances in this movie where like the stock footage like is just paused until he gets into the scene and walks through, and then it starts up.
I like that too because he's like, follow me, I'll lead you to safety. But then like it shows them running a little bit, and there's like the explosions going off. But then you see him jump back out of the second story window, but it's like, but those guys can't do that. So did they not make it? Because like, you don't see them make it out of the building. Yeah. And there's so many fucking explosions too. It's so ridiculous. Like
there won't even be explosions on the screen, but the sound effect is still happening. And it's the same, it's the exact same sound effect, basically played like perfectly spaced out. During that military scene, it's also great because he kind of comes through the door and like walks through them, and then as they start running, these explosions start happening, and it's like the camera's moving because this is like professionally shot, like stock footage or whatever. The camera is like a steady cam is like moving as these soldiers run, but the explosions stay on the same spot on the screen. And I'm like, bravo, just incredible. And then it must have been like stock footage of like a controlled demolition, because then the windows of like it just gets blown up. And it's like, oh well, you jumped out of the window, but yeah, all those guys are dead probably. See, I was kind of torn between like, okay, I was like, okay, this is this all gonna be like green screen shit? Like we should have like there should be other actors in this. And then we got to any scene with other actors, and I'm like, can we go back to the green screen? Like that stilted, strange way that like people talk in these movies.
I love it. That's my favorite part about these. I will say again, I've said it a million times, but I have forgotten a lot of Fateful Findings. I haven't rewatched it since we watched it for the show. But there were moments where, and this is not saying that he's good, but I was like, man, I feel like he's like way better in this than he was in Fateful Findings. Because like, and maybe it's just because I just remember the really bad parts, because those are the funny parts. But I feel like his normal cadence is just like, I'm saying a line now, and then I'm gonna say another line. But in this, there was bits where he's like flirting with the girl, and he's like laughing as he's saying it. I'm like, whoa, he's actually like emoting somewhat when he's talking.
I hear the food is spectacular. The service is impeccable. It's just friggin' invisible.
I was like, oh, okay, this is a little off the beaten path for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like the and then when he's got to get like more intense, which is way better. Again, like I'm thinking of like the intensity of Fateful Findings with like, I can't believe you committed suicide, which is like his normal cadence where he doesn't do anything. But in this, there's like the part where Kale's girlfriend approaches him and he's like,
I never had a beard.
What? What are you talking about?
I've never had a beard.
Do you know Kale?
What?
You look just like
That's
somebody
my
I used
twin
to
brother.
that was a great interaction. Yeah. Dude, all the scenes with him, it's crazy how like I'm realizing just how many repetitive scenes there are in this, because there's all the ones where he goes to the building and either just walks around and hides or blows it up. And then on the flip side with Kale, it's like I feel like there's like 3 scenes with Kale and I don't know if there's anything else. You get the scenes with him in the green screen with talking to Cade.
I've lost control. Who am I? What am I? What's happened to us?
That's the more classic like Breen like tone of speaking.
Yeah.
You get that, you get him with the 3 guys that he's held hostage, and then you get him like sitting on his like mattress with his girlfriend arguing.
Yes.
Which all of those were so fucking great. All their hits where they'd be like like
yeah,
a foot away from the face.
Yeah, the one time he uses like any sort of like sound editing for like a slap on the face, it's just like a full like movie punch.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Come back here. Straighten up. We're both fucked up.
I don't care. I don't want you anymore.
It's like, hey, how do I portray this character as a like a drunk or a drug addict? And there's just like 2 beer bottles, like a vodka bottle, 2 pill bottles on the bed. It's disheveled. And then there's like more bottles on the nightstand.
Yeah. It's more of that classic like overuse of props I'm talking about. There's just so much shit.
It's very like student film. Like, how do you portray a character that's like going through something? You give him a big ass handle of like whiskey and he just drinks. Like I feel like we've done it, or at least I've done it in like shorts before, where it's like, how do you convey that idea? It's like, yeah,
right, yeah.
Sorry, I've got I forgot that I had the movie pulled up over here. Like I just popped the window back open, and it's the scene where Kale is like at the university campus, and like you get the stock footage of like the police car, and then he like puts the blue and the red lights, and they're just like kind of circling, and then they both just like shuffle, run away.
Yeah, that's right. That's technically a scene that he's in. That's not one of those 3. Very brief and whatever, but yeah, there's technically one that's different.
Sorry. And now he's caressing the diamonds. Oh my god, he's just like, he's creating stock footage.
Oh,
a movie is using stock footage, but then he's also like through some of these scenes creating like stock footage for perverts, like weird shit.
Yeah, maybe that's how he got the deal on his use of stock footage. Is like, well, like if you make some, you can get some of your money back.
Oh,
it's like
what?
Like a buyback program.
Do you think since he's a real estate guy, these are like some of the homes that he shows?
Very possible.
That he's just like, hey, well, I'm showing this home. Like, while we've got it, we might as well, like, hey, you come over here. We'll film a few scenes. So that way, because like some of these houses seem like pretty big houses. Like, like I feel like the house in like Twisted Pair wasn't too bad either. But like the house where like the Coos guy lives, it looks like it's very like, has like a chandelier and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Very, very likely. Especially since, it seems like when they are in houses, it's not just the same house. It is different ones when it needs to be. Which is funny because like everywhere else is clearly the same place because it's just that one bridge or the one like science lab area.
Oh yeah. He loves that one section of the college campus inside where there must be a window that like creates like a single line of light that kind of cuts through everything. Yeah. And there's at least 2 or 3 scenes where characters will basically walk right up until the light is directly on their faces, like Morticia Addams or something like that. And they'll stop right there to have the conversation. And it's like, oh, he's going for something like stylistic, something that contrasts. Like the rest of the scene is dark, but it's just like realistically, it's like, let's have this conversation. Walk, walk, walk. We're both blinded by sunlight. Right. Let's have the conversation here.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie also suffers from what Axum suffered from, where everything is like either like a wide or a medium shot. There's like no camera movement. There's no like over the shoulder. There's no variation in like doing the scenes. Where it's like, man, I feel like it's almost like that guy that did that edit of After Last Season, where he kind of put like the letterbox thing and then he kind of did a little bit of color correction. I feel like you could do that with this movie and some of it might look okay.
Yeah.
But I guess it would be harder because there's no variation in like close-ups for anybody.
Yeah, no, there isn't. The only time there are, it's like sometimes in the just like the conversation scenes.
And
then you'll get some close-ups of them, and then also some very just like random, like the editing when there is like individual shots like that is so like weird because it'll do a thing where somebody will say something and then it'll like cut away to the other person and they'll just be like, and then it'll cut back to the other person and then it'll cut back and then they'll respond.
I'm trying to remember literally anything else that happens in this.
Yeah, I kind of am too, but I
think the thing that I wish there was more of. Holy shit, are there 2 moons? There are. Unless it's supposed to be a reflection. There's a shot of him and what's her face like sitting on like a balcony or something, and it looks like there's 2 moons in the sky. Weird. Yeah, I was really hoping that there would be more of a confrontation between him and all of the evildoers, because I really liked that element of Fateful Findings where it's just him like at a party with like guys that just plainly state that they're evil and they like doing evil things because they're evil, and then Neil Breen gets to be like, isn't that fraud? Aren't you ripping off the American people? Like, I was really hoping that like those guys chained up in the basement, there would be like a confrontation scene, or like, because I feel like there's like a little bit of that where like he's talking to some people and there's like a couple guys that kind of say something like that, like, oh, well, at the bank we really like to like, there's not enough of it, because when Neil gets on his soapbox about his like very childlike ideas about like morality and good versus evil, that's my favorite shit in the world from his movies.
Yeah, I like that this has the same like vague, it's like, oh, we gotta stop this guy because he's going to do terror and evil. I was like, yeah, but like, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna like bomb someplace? It's like, you don't need to know
like
that.
You're doing, Neil? Like you're bombing places?
Yeah. No, you get that that's top loaded, because that's like the first scene with the So it subverts it because it packs all that in like near the beginning. Because it's the first scene where Kale has the guys tied up in the basement, and he's like, I know what you did. You're gonna pay for all the crimes that you did. And they're like, they like feign innocence for a little bit. They're like, oh, we don't know what you're talking about. We don't know. And then he just like shoots once. I don't know if he shoots one of them or if he just like shoots just like into the air or whatever. But that's all it takes. Then no more torture or anything. He just shoots once, and all three of the guys are like, "Yeah, you're right. We did. We paid off so many people. We paid off all these politicians. We're corrupt, and we funded government projects." And they just go on and on. They just rattle off like a laundry list of crimes just from like barely torture.
Yep.
I'm an attorney, and I'm going to see that you are put in jail for the rest of your life.
I don't give a shit. This is my form of justice.
Oh, I knew this was going to come back to bite us in the ass.
The stolen cars.
Millions embezzled from charities.
All the politicians we've been paying off.
Oh, we've been paying politicians off for years.
But then, yeah, where does that... So Cade goes and bombs the building, and apparently that sends the bad guy into exile. But then, like, what happens with Kale? Does he just disappear after his girlfriend leaves him? Like, or well, you do get another scene with him and the guys hanging, but again, it's the same thing. He's just kind of talking about punishing them, and then it does that thing where you see all like the multiple like copies of them or whatever, but that's what I was waiting for. I thought there was going to be some kind of like confrontation between the two brothers where he's going to be like, you're out of order, Kale. I got to put a stop to this. How you're doing this isn't right. But yeah, there's not. It's just, I think he just kind of does that. I don't even know if those guys like definitively die by the end of it. I think they're still just kind of hanging there. And then Cade and Olana shoot each other. And then they're like talking in the purple forest. and then it ends.
Well, yeah, I guess that just means we need to watch Cade the Tortured Crossing next.
Yeah. If I had not put this off until the last minute, I was planning on watching. Maybe I'll watch it, before the next episode. But I was originally planning on watching both of them. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if Kale will even be in it, or if I'm interested to see what a Neil Breen sequel looks like. Like, is it actually going to follow up on this, or is it just going to be like you have Cade and he's like the same character? I mean, on
Wikipedia, he's credited as both Cade and Kale.
Okay, cool. That's sure to. I'm sure it'll tie up the story in a nice bow and.
By August 2023, it was revealed that the entire film was shot using green screens.
The second one?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, the entire thing. Holy shit. I wonder why. Maybe some of it was shot during COVID. That would probably make more sense for him to just I'll just green screen it. That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's other people in it at least.
Yeah, I think there are.
I would think so. He definitely likes himself, but I don't think he would do a whole like one-man show.
Yeah. Damn, he's like 66.
66. Dude. He both looks his age and doesn't.
Wikipedia picture rocks. And we talked about this. It's him with his eyes closed. It's a picture.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely seen that. Yeah. Yeah. Dang, yeah. So these three are the only ones that have Wikipedia pages. So his other three don't have Wikipedia pages. Interesting. So it'll be even harder to discern what's happening in them. Speaking of, though, I did notice, just because I've seen clips here and there from his other ones. There's another weird scene with the fairy girl that has no bearing on anything, and I feel like there's no lead in or lead out from it, but it just cuts to this like home theater, and she like appears, and on the screen is, I believe, Pass Through, which was the movie he did before this one. I
wondered because it looked like one of his movies too.
Mm-hmm. It was definitely one of his other ones. Not having seen them, but I think that just again from clips and whatnot I've seen, I think that was Pass Through. Yeah, I got to check out those. He only has 6 movies, so it's not even like a crazy like big like library of films to get through.
Yeah, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for being like on the set of one of his movies.
Yeah, really. It would be really interesting to see how he like works with people.
Mm-hmm.
Because the fact that these are like his movies through and through, it feels like he feels like an alien. Like how can somebody make this and be like, yeah, this is what I wanted to make. This is the intended product.
Yeah.
I did see something either on like his Wikipedia page or like the IMDb trivia that he said that like all of his films are somewhat autobiographical. So
I don't know what that means in this case.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got a twin brother.
I wonder, does he just think that like, is he just saying that like he's writing about, I could totally see him meaning like, well, I believe in these things, since I mean, it's a common theme of his movies that like, you know, fighting corruption and like money.
Yeah.
People hoarding wealth and stuff like that. But so is he just misconstruing like just writing his own beliefs into it as like being autobiographical? Because that's just like what writing is, you know, people who write like, you know, they're not gonna
I don't think he knows what that means.
Yeah, or there is more to it. I don't know.
Where you're like, okay, what elements of this are autobiographical for you? Because I'm very curious about that.
Yeah.
Like,
does he have a twin brother?
Oh,
named Lean Breen.
Lean Breen.
I was trying to like kneel backwards.
Yeah, right.
Are you ready to go to scores?
Yeah,
it's time. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't you start us off? All right.
I think I'm going with a spud for this one. There are, I would say, some pretty like kind of long drawn out moments where you could get bored.
Mm-hmm.
But having like a solo experience versus like, I think if like we were all together watching this in a room, even during those scenes where not a lot is happening, we could be like riffing on it or making fun of it or making jokes, because it's so intentional how like it seems like intentional for how long some of these scenes will go, where characters will say something and then they'll wait like 15 seconds to respond. To the point where it's like, is this bad editing or is this intentional? And I guess that's always the thing with Neil Breen, where you're like, what is just bad incompetence and what is like intentional art, you know, in quotes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes this special, and that's what puts this in dud territory, is because it's not like anything else that we've watched where it's just like we're trying to write a comedy or we're trying to like make a vehicle for this comedian to like riff with his friends or whatever. This falls under the criteria of written, directed, produced, starring, everything by the same guy, and he casts himself in the romantic lead even though he's a terrible actor. Like it checks all of those boxes. And it's a spud for me. I think there are some dud moments, but I think if you're with the right crowd, like you can really like you can milk this movie. So spud for me.
Yeah, I agree with it being a spud. It's again, from memory, not as strong as Fateful Findings. And that could be that I watched this one solo and that one not. But I do feel like there was more. I mean, I feel like there was a lot of repetition in that too. So I don't know. I really do just need to like watch these more.
It cut to him in his desk with his like 18 copies of the same book so many times.
But still, I think what I'm thinking is like that is still more entertaining to me than just him in like a green screen void. And I think that's why like the repetition in this kind of stuck out to me more. So it's like it's like a semi light-ish, light to medium. Like maybe some of those eyes on the potato have started sprouting, but you're like you just kind of like scrape them off. You're like, yeah, it's still good.
Yeah,
it still works. Still very much a Breen guy. Yeah, I'll try to make time for Cade soon. And then 3 more. So yeah, and also just like obviously just such a step up from everything else we watched this month. I'm still like
insanely better.
But even with this, I'm like, gee, fucking good riddance. Like I'm pretty sure I was like this at the end of it last year too, where I'm just like, I'm not gonna not do it next year, but I'm like, fuck me, this is rough. This is
yeah.
Makes it hard sometimes, and this is
and
one
plus
of the good
we had
ones.
to do 5 of them this April.
Yeah,
because it was movie 43, Norbit.
I think that was
Going Overboard,
Axum, and
then this one.
Yeah, so those 3 comedies, and then Axum was kind of like a reprieve from those somewhat, but still god awful. And then this was it's good, solid.
Yeah,
solid spud. Looks like we both watched some semi like action spy movies at least. Like kind of in the same grouping.
Yeah. I can go first just because I probably won't have as much to say about it. So in the lead up to the latest Mission Impossible movie, when is that coming out again?
July. No, it's coming out in May, I think.
Oh shit. We got some work ahead of us then. We've been trying to kind of watch all the Mission Impossible movies leading up to the final installment ?
Yeah.
So we watched Mission Impossible 2 a couple days ago. And it's a John Woo movie. You can you can tell it is.
Yeah. That was mine when I was a kid when it was just like the first 3 that were out for a while because they took a break between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
2 was the one that I watched like on repeat. So that was I'm a big fan of this one.
It was so funny to me. Every over the top stunt, like near the end of the movie, I want to say like Ethan throws like a grenade somewhere and like shit blows up, and then he like turns the corridor, and as he's walking through, just like doves fly out behind him.
Oh yeah.
So insane. Like it was just like I wanted to stand up and applaud when like shit like that happened. Probably one of the most insane character reintroductions I've ever seen. So at the beginning, you get the guy on the airplane with the fake Tom Cruise. He's wearing like the mask. Yeah. Which I thought was funny because one of his henchmen is Ethan Rom from Lost.
Oh yeah.
Who I believe is Tom Cruise's cousin in real life.
Oh, okay. I don't think I didn't know that.
So I was like, oh, it's Ethan Hunt versus Ethan Rom.
Yeah.
So like that happens, and like, oh, it's like, oh shit, you get this misdirect. You think Tom Cruise is like you think Ethan's turned, but then it's like he pulls the mask off and then the plane crashes. And then it's like, okay, well, where do we find Ethan in all of this? And he's like free soloing. He's like up in the mountains.
Yeah.
Like just hanging on. And we were just like, no way. No way. And I read about it later on. Apparently there was no net below him. And he just had on like a harness with a thin wire. Like that's all he had. And I'm like, he's the greatest to ever do it. It's and apparently he fought to have that scene in because like they were like, dude, there's no net, there's no this, like this is incredibly dangerous. And he's like, no, this is the best way to reintroduce the character.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that like that's probably one of the earliest examples I remember of like watching a movie and like recognizing like the stunt work or whatever. Not that like I hadn't seen movies with like, oh, that's really cool, but just like, because I don't know, I remember like just in the press or whatever for it that like, oh, he actually like does this like this rock climbing at the beginning. And I remember like every time I'd watch that movie, that scene would always be like so cool to me because I was like, oh, he's actually like doing that. And then, I mean, yeah, obviously he's kept that up. That's like a staple with all of them now. It's like he has at least one. I mean, like they're doing fucking crazy shit throughout the movies, but there's always like one
like
big
centerpiece.
stunt. Yeah. Especially in like the last few, there've been some, and they always like to showcase them in the trailer because they're like, we know what people are here for. Like in the, I don't know if you watched like the trailers for the new one, but he's like hanging on to like the side of a biplane that's like doing flips and spins and shit.
Yes, I think I saw someone do like a side by side of like the trailer of like I think there was like footage of it unedited, which like in real life he's got a harness on because like he's not just gonna hang off the side of a plane like that. But it's like you watch like the edited version and then like the like actual in camera footage, and it looks almost the same except for like his harness, and you're like. It's so crazy that he's hanging on the side of an airplane. It's like going up in the like. Because I think I saw Ghost Protocol in theaters, and is that the one where he scales like the Burj Khalifa?
Yeah.
And there's like that. There's like that famous picture of him sitting atop the building. But yeah, this one it ends with like the big like motorcycle chase between him and like the bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other like big stunts that happen in that one. Oh, speaking of Dud Month, his romantic interest is
Tandy
Eddie
Newton.
Murphy. Yeah. It was like, oh shit, yeah, from Norbit. She's in this.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, it was it was a lot of fun. It was very entertaining. Didn't necessarily like hit as high as like the first one, but like in terms of like that spectacle and action and stunts and all that shit, it's like jam packed with all of it.
Yeah. Maybe I should rewatch those before Final Reckoning, because it's been a long time since I've seen those first three. And the second one is the only one that I like remember a lot of, because I've only seen the other ones like once or twice. In my opinion, there's not a bad Mission Impossible. They've all got something.
There's
definitely, I have my favorites. Like I have my favorite is Fallout. Like I think that one is fucking, it's amazing, that one. Kind of just like everything just kind of comes together in like the best way. But if you got past 2 and you like that enough, like that's the low point for a lot of people.
I was reading some of the reviews on Letterboxd, and I think some people thought it was like all style and like no substance.
I think people need to watch more John Woo movies is the thing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like the first one is like a De Palma movie, so it's a little bit more, it's a little more elevated. So like whatever. Is it J.J. Abrams who does the third one? Who does he do more of them? Who does Ghost Protocol?
No, I think Ghost Protocol was Brad Bird.
Yeah.
who did
Brad Bird. He did like The Incredibles.
The Incredibles, yeah.
And like The Iron Giant, oddly enough. That's the two credits of his that I know.
And Ratatouille.
That's
yeah. Yeah, and that one's good. That one's one of the better ones.
I remember seeing that one.
And then I think Christopher McQuarrie did Fallout. I know that. And then I think he's doing the more recent ones too. Yeah, he did Dead Reckoning. And who did Rogue Nation? Oh, that's Christopher McQuarrie too. So since Rogue Nation, it's been Christopher McQuarrie.
Okay.
But yeah, I would definitely say the first two are very much like, the first one is like a De Palma movie. The second one is a John Woo movie. And then the third on are just kind of like Mission Impossible movies. You know what I mean? But not still not in that like homogenized like studio way. But I do think that there's less of a like directorial,
like an auteur's hand or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can get through all of these before the final. I'd like to catch it in theaters.
Yes, I'm gonna try to go see that one in IMAX for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I watched sort of late. I mean, hey, they're both in Top Gun. I watched I did my Val Kilmer honoring by watching I had two movies of his that I hadn't seen that I was really interested in, and then I was like, well, they're kind of like there's I don't know, I find like weird similarities in movies. I'm like, yeah, I'll just watch them as like a two-parter. So I watched Top Secret, which is his first movie, surprisingly. His first starring role. And MacGruber, which was one of his later ones.
Yeah.
Not his last one, but one of his later ones. And they're both these like spy spoof, like just silly movies. I love, I mean, I've talked before about like Naked Gun or ones that are kind of a little bit closer to Top Secret is Hot Shots. I don't know if you've heard of those. It's like Charlie Sheen is like the main one. It's got, I think, Lloyd Bridges is in that too, and he was in like Airplane.
Okay.
And just like the dumbest dumb shit comedy. But it's like really funny. Like I love it's like there's stuff where there's this fight scene where they're like on. So Top Secret is a really interesting aesthetic because it's like it's talking about stuff like current to the 80s, like political climate-y stuff, but it's got like the culture of the 60s. So Val Kilmer plays a rock star, and he's very clearly like Beach Boys Elvis type music. Like the song that plays over the opening credits is like Skeet Shooting USA or something like that, and there's like a video of people like skeet shooting while surfing. But there's like Nazis, so it's like World War II, like wartime stup and there's some really really great bits in that. I'd have to see how much those other ones hold up, like Hot Shots, but yeah, it was good, and surprising that was his first movie, because he feels like such a leading man like already, and he it's just so nice to see how much he fits into that mold of that style of comedy, because it's like you're supposed to, the way that those are played is like acting wise, they're playing it completely straight. Everything is, there's no like, I mean, there might be some, but for the most part, the characters are all just like, these are characters in like a spy movie, but there's all this ridiculous shit happening around them. And then, on the flip side, MacGruber, which we were talking about, we'd been kind of talking about SNL cast people, SNL stuff. And this one has kind of been on my list for a while because it's one that I keep hearing just more recently is like people are saying like, no, that one was like actually good. Even though I remember when it came out, I was like, I don't ever want to watch that. It sounded like so dumb. Mm-hmm. I didn't like that skit on SNL. Go figure.
Right.
I like Will Forte enough, but like it was just a dumb skit that they did this over and over again. It was the same joke every time. So I had no interest in seeing it, but I've just kind of seen, I don't know, I'll see people like review it on Letterboxd every now and then. It's always like high rating. And then Drew Gooden, this was like right after we had our last talk about SNL cast people.
Yeah, I was going to say, did we talk about that Drew Gooden video after last week's episode? Like it wasn't on air?
Maybe we did. Maybe we mentioned it.
Because after we were like doing like, we did a Norbit and we did Going Overboard, that showed up in my recommended feed of like Drew Gooden watched all of the SNL movies, and like it got to the end and he was like, I forgot that MacGruber was an SNL sketch, and I guess that's the last SNL movie that they've made based on like a sketch. And he said it was like, did he say it was like his favorite one, or it was up there? I think so. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I have nostalgia for Wayne's World, but I don't think rewatching Wayne's World, like, I don't know. So there's like that playing a factor into it. Might say like, I like Wayne's World more as a movie, as something to watch, but there's no way that I laughed as hard at Wayne's World as I did at MacGruber. MacGruber was fucking hilarious. It was, I'm pretty sure it's directed by Akiva Schaffer, so it's Lonely Island adjacent, which is good. We would point that out as like that's one of the good things to come out of SNL. And not quite as strong as something like Popstar, but still like really good comedy. And Will Forte is fucking hilarious in the movie. But there's some great like there's this gag. There's this bit where they're going to like a casino or something in Las Vegas to, do some spy work. And he parks his car, but like cuts somebody off or something. I don't know. There's just like a little bit of road rage, and like somebody, like he cuts somebody off, and then the guy is like driving past, and he's like, the guy just says something like, screw you. And then MacGruber's like, oh, fuck you. And then he like, you see him like zone in on the guy's license plate, and he's like, KFB 392, KFB 392, KFB 392. And then they're like, MacGruber, are we gonna go in there? And he's like, yeah, KFB 3. And he like keeps repeating it. And it returns to that joke that instant so many times in the movie. And it's so good every time. There's a bit, I'm not gonna say exactly, but there's a bit where Ryan Philippe, who's his like sidekick kind of thing, he's like at his house or something like that, and he's going through like his notebook, like his clues, like MacGruber's notebook of clues, and it ties into that. And I was like crying laughing at this scene. It was so good. And obviously we might have said it already, but R.I.P. Val. It was it's bittersweet watching his stuff now, but those are some really good, like both solid comedies in like a similar-ish area. I feel like absurdist stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think last week we talked about his performance in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, because like a bunch of those clips like resurfaced in the news of his death, and like some of his deliveries in that movie are incredibly funny. Yeah, like the scene where Robert Downey Jr. like tries to do Russian roulette and shoots the guy in the head instantly.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
Yeah, like
he's got great comedic like timing and sense.
Yeah, and we watched Heat again, which I've become a Heat truther. I love that movie now. But he's good at playing like dramatic roles too. Like that scene where he comes home and he doesn't realize that like the feds are there, and Ashley Judd gives him that very subtle like, and like watching his face, scene, he kind of smirks when he sees her, and then his face just like very subtly changes, and then he just gets in the car and goes, and like I don't know, he's great in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd like to revisit some of his comedies then, because like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is great. He's kind of funny in The Island of Dr. Moreau, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting character. Yeah,
it's also funny in the context of him and Marlon Brando duking it out, like refusing to come out of their respective trailers until the other one does. Just like, just
Did
the
you end up
idea
watching?
Just the idea that like everyone is so reverent about Marlon Brando and just like, oh my God, he was in The Godfather, he was in On the Waterfront, like, and then Val Kilmer was just like, I'm not coming out of my trailer unless he does. Just immediately like a cocky shithead about it.
Yeah,
like taunting him. It's so great.
Did you end up watching the documentary about that?
I think
There's a lot of good stuff.
I think I watched it right before we recorded that episode, because I think I did catch that.
Yeah, because there's a ton of good just like trivia bits in that documentary that just add to it. But sadly, well, I think Marlon Brando was dead by that time, but I doubt he would have been a part of it anyways. But
no,
I don't think Val Kilmer is either. I want to say David Thewlis is maybe a little. He's in it. I don't know.
Okay, God, I forgot he was in that.
Yeah, he's the main guy, and but you just think of like Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer when you think of that movie. I think they're the ones like on the cover for it too. He's named, of course, but his face is like nowhere on like the posters or anything for that movie. All right, we ready to
get back to normal?
Get back to normal. That's a good way to put it. Not necessarily good.
Yeah,
but normal. We'll temper that for now. Yeah, okay, this could be good. Probably good. Leaning towards that. Hopefully, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I don't know if you have. For next week's movie, we're gonna be watching a movie from 1986, directed by David Byrne. True Stories.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I picked up that Criterion on a blind buy. I mean, blind buy. Like, I like Talking Heads and I like David Byrne, so you didn't really have to like convince me to buy it. But I do own a copy of that, so that'll be exciting to finally be able to watch that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yes. I'm glad. I mean, yeah. Again, I haven't seen it, but I'm like something I feel good about. Like, I don't want to pull something and be like, oh man, this needs something fun, I guess, at least.
That's at least our second Talking Heads movie too, outside of Stop Making Sense.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, cool. That'd be fun. So watch True Stories before the next episode if you don't want to be spoiled for it. I guess we'll say, since we're not doing Dud Month anymore, we're going back to bi-weekly or whatever. So
yes,
it'll be 2 weeks. Yeah. So watch it before then. Don't want to be spoiled. These episodes come out on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. EST on YouTube in video form, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more in audio form. We also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And with all that said, I've never had a beard. So
yeah, I figured one of us was gonna take that one.
Not technically not true, but yeah. And with me as always.
As always. What are you following me for? What are you following me for? You're one of us. You're a traitor. You're a traitor. You betrayed us. You betrayed us. You betrayed me. You betrayed us. And I'm Nick.
And have a I was trying to think of a Breen pun. I don't know.
I got a twisted pair just watching this movie.
There you go. That's the word.